Good morning, everybody. So it's a wonderful day on the river. Let's see if it'll focus here. Get our beautiful sunset. Not really through the windows. They're kind of foggy from sleeping in here overnight and how cold it got. It's 34 degrees. We're nice and cozy up front in all our sleeping bags and stuff. I was actually sweating a little because I wasn't sure how cold it was going to get, because they were saying it was going to be super cold, possibly 28, so I overdid it. And I was sweating a little last night, and I ended up having to go to the bathroom, and sweat and cold was not fun. So I peed real quick, and then I just dove right back up into that V-berth. Whoa, got back in the covers and was good. So the plan is, I called ahead, and I should be able to get into the Quincy Boat Club. They have a little dock that's under like this pavilion building, and they said that I would be able to dock there for a few hours, and then I should be able to take an Uber into town and either get gas and supplies, being as there is no gas dock there. So I'm gonna get suited up. The high for today is only 46, but it's gonna be real sunny. It's a little windy, 15 to 20 mile an hour, but nothing we can't handle. Alright, so here we are. A little bit windy. Be all over the place. I'm like, it's this mile an hour, but at least with this. Not too bad. Should have got it out when we had those 40 mile an hour winds the other day. Video that I was by that little island, and then you could hear the crashing, and that one had the trees breaking on shore. So I got that out of the ship's stores, and we will be adding that to our things that we talk about in our videos. So the plan is to get all dressed. Got to get out of my marine snuggie and put on some cold weather gear, because with those winds, and it is like 40 degrees for the high today, we're gonna need it. So the plan is to go down to the Quincy Boat Club's dock, tie up, and I'm gonna try to Uber it, and we'll go into town and we will see what we can do and get some supplies. All right, so with the wind and getting through the lock and dam, I think I'm just gonna wait, and then we'll wait a couple hours here, and then we'll get into Quincy. There's no hurry, because like I was telling you before, what my worry is with the wind, it'll push the boat, and the boat has so much force, and you're holding the lines, and you only have so much force, and you're sitting up on the cabin top there midship, pulling towards the wall. And if it goes too much, what ends up happening, I've already had it happen with not this much wind, is your butt starts to lift up a little. And my worry would be is if the boat pushes over so far, and I'm holding onto the ropes, and the boat keeps going, and then I'm just hanging there on the wall with the two lines. That might be a little intense, and we don't need that to happen on our journey. I don't need it to be that intense. Especially after yesterday with our motor quitting in the lock. That was kind of funny. That was like the first time I went through a lock and I shut the motor off, and I was talking to the guy, and the guy's like, he couldn't hear me, and I was telling him about our YouTube channel, and he says, go ahead, shut your motor off so I can hear you. And I go, aren't we supposed to leave them on just in case they don't start or anything, and they don't want that to happen in the lock? He goes, don't worry, go ahead, shut it off, nothing will happen. I'm like, okay. So I shut it off, and then I was talking to him, and everything's good to go. And then we go to leave, and I go to start the motor, and it just made us like vroom, vroom, like the starter motor spinning, you could hear. But it didn't turn the motor over, the engine over. It wasn't just a click, 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 so you could tell it wasn't like the solenoid, like, because the starter motor was spinning. And so I wasn't sure if like it just wasn't getting enough power to pop that Bendix gear up or something. So I didn't know at first, like, if the brushes were dirty inside the motor or what. So I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's what it is. And then once we were able to anchor, I was able to check it out, and it was just the Bendix gear was stuck, like it wasn't greased up enough. And now since we've PB blasted it, it's amazing. Probably works way better than it has the whole trip. But it was just kind of funny. It was one of them things like, oh, and then so I had to get the spare motor going, and I didn't even have it hooked up to the gas tank that's with it there, because I wasn't, you know, planning on having to use it. But I'm glad I did now, because I now know if it was one of them things and you're like, I need to get it going now, I wouldn't have been able to, because there's no gas going through the line to the motor and it hasn't been started. So I had to connect the line, you know, squeeze the ball, get it all hard, and then you had to pull the motor. And since it hadn't been started yet in a while, it took, you know, 10, 15 pulls to get going. You know, so I'm sitting, boom, you know, it wouldn't do nothing for a while. And then I'm like, what the heck? So then I put the choke back in and was doing it for a little bit. That didn't do anything. Pulled the choke back out, gave it way more gas, and then I pulled it a few more times, and it finally went, I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere. It will start. So then I kept doing it, and then it started going, and I turned down the throttle, you know, and let it go and warm up a little, and then threw it in forward, and then I was able to get out of the lock. But the guy on shore, he probably was laughing, but also in his head, I wonder if he's like, well, the one time I told somebody to shut their motor off and nothing will happen, and it did. So just like I was thinking, the one time I shut my motor off. So that was kind of funny. Yeah, so the plan, you know, you just kind of got to evolve as the day goes, and with the weather, and with 25 mile an hour, 30 mile an hour gusts, it's just probably not a good idea to go through the lock by myself. So I'm just going to kind of chill here for the day. I'm going to clean up the boat inside, because yesterday I had to clean out to get back to the motor. I kind of just threw everything. So I got to get that all figured out. Plan is going to be the Alton Marina. I called ahead, and they have a deal for people that are doing the Great Loop. And they have buy 3 nights, get 3 nights free. So I think we're going to do that. And we might not stay the full 6 nights, but we'll stay there for at least 2 or 3 nights. We'll be able to go into town, get all the things we need. One thing that I definitely want to do is I want to reseal the front anchor cleats and the back ones. Everybody on YouTube, online, for sailboat repair is like, butyl tape, butyl tape, butyl tape. Butyl tape is amazing, you know, because it never rots and you can always use it, but it is not good for things that move or have load on them. Maybe if it's something a little cutesy on your deck or something, but from what I've learned is, like with the anchor cleats, they move, you know, it pulls in different directions, and what that butyl tape is you get it in there, you know, you get everything hardened, and then you come back a few days later and you harden, you know, you tighten it again because it'll settle. But then with the way the anchor thing is, and then how it gives it different forces and different ways, it just slowly moves out, and then all of a sudden it's loose. And then you got to tighten it up, and then it'll be loose again, and then you got to tighten it up, and then eventually there's no butyl tape in there. So I guess there would kind of be, because when we did them, we did like a counter sink, like a little hole, so the butyl tape would get in there. But it just overall, it seems like on the anchor cleats there, that it just doesn't work well because of the different forces there. So it's better to use like some 3M 4200 or whatnot. These are the front anchor cleats, and I know I'm never going to be taking those off. They're pretty permanent. So I do have a little bottle of 3M 5200 that I'm thinking of using for those. And because it's the anchor cleats, we don't want them to rip off or anything, and I want them nice and solid and sealed, and then we won't have to worry about any water leaks coming through and getting down into the bilge. We don't have to worry about the core, because when we did those, when we sealed everything on the deck, what we ended up doing is we drilled the hole where all the fittings used to be, and we drilled a hole like 2 sizes bigger, and then we filled it with epoxy, and then we were able to drill the hole the size that we needed the screw or the bolt or the whatever, and that way that even if it does leak and your whatever you're using to seal it fails, that it's epoxy and you're never going to get water into the core of the boat again, which would rot the wood, which you do not want. So we do at least know that if it is leaking from doing that, and then the butyl isn't making a good watertight seal, that all it's going to end up doing is leak down into the bilge underneath the V-berth up there. So this is working out pretty nice with our water jugs. I put them right here, and then they counterweight the gas cans that we have, and this out really, really nice. Because I wasn't sure how that was going to go, and in the beginning, when we were first going, I had the water jugs back there, and then the gas, and ride up. Sorry, my voice is really dry. I feel like I'm kind of getting a little bit of a cold. My nose is stuffy too. So I hope I didn't get COVID or anything from anybody. That would suck. Yeah, so just kind of a chill day. I'm gonna clean up, get my clothes all ready. When we're at Alton, they have a washing machine, so we'll be able to do our laundry. We're gonna get our mast up. There may be somebody that interviews us from the town. And then when we get our mast up, we're going to get help from some people from the Catalina group and the Great Loop group. And I believe there was one. So we'll get 2 or 3 people to come help us. So we'll have no problem getting the mast up. I know I can do it by myself. Or with before, when we were on Lake Mille Lacs, we did it with 2 people. And then it was really easy. You just did I'll show you guys. We have an A-frame and then some fiddle blocks and some line that we run back to the winch. And then you just do the winch and it goes right up, and then you have somebody that stands up there by the mast step and they just kind of make sure it doesn't go left or right or anything, and it never has, but you just have them there just in case. So you don't want to end up I definitely want more people there, because we don't want to make it all this way, get there to do the mast and be like, yay, we're a sailboat again, and then have it fall over and then break or bend in half, or who knows. So the more hands that we can have, the better. What does that old saying? Many hands make a lighter load. So that's what we want. So I'm gonna make some breakfast. Got out my Weiss. I brought these. I've had these for like 10 years and they last for 25 years, but I figured I better use them, because with my luck and how I tend to do things, it'd be like, yeah, I got these 25 year emergency food things, and then they expire after 30 years or something. So last night we had the apple and brown sugar, and this morning we're gonna have the brown sugar and maple multi-grain cereal. So one thing I wish that I'd really real maple syrup. On the homestead there, we actually went and tapped our own trees, and we had our own maple syrup, and it was really good. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but a lot of people have not actually ever had real 100% maple syrup, like Mrs. Buttersworth and stuff. There is no real syrup in there. It's all high fructose corn syrup and flavorings. And it's funny because people are like, I love Mrs. Buttersworth, it's the best syrup, but it's actually no real maple syrup in there. So, and there's a huge, huge difference in the taste between 100% real maple syrup and not. And health-wise, high fructose corn syrup is like one of the worst things that you can have for your body, just the way it processes it. And it's in everything, and that's one of the reasons everybody has all these health problems, is because of that. The way food is in our country, we would not be able to afford, everybody would not be able to afford the things we eat if it was all 100% food still, like natural, because so much of it is cut with high fructose corn syrup. It is in everything. If you go start looking on stuff, it's what it is. So a little bit of a health tip for you guys out there: if you can cut out high fructose corn syrup from your diet as much as possible, you will be amazed at how much healthier you will feel, and everything. It just, you just feel better. It's way better for you. And it's not it is a bad cholesterol fat, and that affects you as well, like heart and everything else. A lot of people aren't aware of that. Like, they're like, fried foods are bad. Fried foods are not necessarily bad. It just depends which oil you have. And in the United States, most of the time we use our vegetable oils are like rapeseed oil or canola oil, and that's not a healthy oil. You can use like avocado oil, coconut oil, I'm trying to think, like real olive oil. Those oils are actually healthy for you, and if you fry with those, it's not bad. You don't get those bad cholesterols that mess up your body. One of the things that's a big thing in our country is because we use the bad oils, and people aren't taught these things, like with nutritional classes, and just people don't know. They think, oh, food's food, and it is not. With cholesterol, everybody has high cholesterol and they want to get them on statins, and statins are really bad for people because of it doesn't target which cholesterol it's affecting, and your brain is made out of fat and cholesterol, and that's why we have a lot of dementia in our country. And if you can naturally control your cholesterol from diet, it makes a huge difference. Me and my dad, we used to that was one of the things, I got him off his statin, and his diabetes got way better. There's like the statistics, if you're on statins for a certain amount of years, you're like almost guaranteed to get diabetes, because it really affects that. And one of the other things is it's supposed to help your cholesterol, but it affects I believe it's K7 production in your blood system and stuff, and it actually promotes hardening of your arteries, which makes your blood pressure, because they're not as elastic, makes your blood pressure go up, which is what you're trying to combat with getting lower cholesterol. So it's kind of like a catch-22 deal. But if you have really high cholesterol and you're in emergency need, statins are good. I'm not saying that's bad, but it's not one of those things that's meant to be taken for the rest of your life and all the time. It causes dementia. It just does. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is one of the reasons we have such high cases of dementia in our country. So if you have the ability to look at your foods and the ingredients in them, try to cut out high fructose corn syrup. Get like the natural Heinz ketchup, or barbecue sauces, or it's even in ice creams. It's insane what it's in. It's in everything. But if you can do that, it'll really help you out in the long run. And in the long run, if you can control your cholesterol naturally and get off statins, that'll help you tremendously. Like I was saying, me and my dad, from our diet, we used to eat all sorts of like meat and stuff, but if you have grass-fed meat, it's way better than the stuff that's grain-fed and all that. And then we had our own pigs, so they were all natural, and that wasn't as bad. And it was just really interesting from diet. We had his A1C like perfect, right at 7, but he would have his blood sugars high sometimes, because most of the time what people do is they take their shot before they eat, and they never have that spike. But for some reason, my dad just throughout having it for 30 years got so good. He would eat, then he would wait a little bit, do his sugar, see what it was at, and then he would know exactly how much to give himself, and it would bump it down. And he just had it down, and it was crazy. The doctors would see sometimes that because he really liked candy, and sometimes he'd have like a 400 or 500 blood sugar. And they'd be like, oh my God, you're not controlling your diabetes. I'd be like, yeah, whatever, my A1C is 7, look. And they would look and they would go, oh, no way, how do you do that? And it was just because we ate all natural foods. And he was really good at controlling that spike. I don't know, he just did, and his body had that ability, and it kept his A1C at like 7.1 or 7.2, and it was just really cool. And then his cholesterol was actually better than the doctors, which was insane. And like how he ate and everything that was going on with his heart and stuff, and how he wasn't on a statin. They're like, you need to be on a statin. And we would go, oh really? Check his cholesterol level. What is it? Because it's probably better than yours. And it was like 98, or I believe, yeah. And his doctor's was like 215 or something. So it was just really, really good. And it was really cool to see firsthand, like doing the research online, reading all about this and diet and what it will do, and how in the United States here, we have so many health problems because of our diet. And by integrating that with my dad and having to do it, and he had that rebound there and got another 2.5, 3 years of life, it was just really cool to see. And I wish that people in our country would be more aware of that, like food stuff, because we even would go to nutritionists at the doctor. They'd be like, yeah, well, I'm a nutritionist. And my dad, because he would call me Nurse Ratchet because I was super strict, wanted to go see the nutritionist just to see if there were like other foods and stuff that we could try and stuff, because he was kind of getting sick of the no salt and all that at first. And after a while though, your taste buds would get used to it, and the food became more like you could taste it more instead of it just being super salty. And then I think we got some Burger King fries or something once, and it was insane. After having that for so long, we tried that, and it was like, oh my God, this is so salty, it's disgusting. Yeah, I forgot where I was blabbing on going with that. But yeah, it was just really cool to see. Oh, I wish in the United States that people were more aware of food and what it does for your diet and your health and your energy levels and all of that. I was saying, we would go to the nutritionist at the doctor's, and they'd be like, yeah, 2,000 milligrams of salt, this, blah, 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 blah. You can have potatoes, blah, 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 blah. And with kidney disease, potassium is big. So you cannot have a lot of potatoes unless you soak them. Cut them up to pieces, and then you would soak it for a few hours, and you'd pour it out, fill it with water, soak it, do that. Or sweet potatoes were good. And but it was just interesting. You would go to the doctor, the nutritionist who was supposed to be telling you a kidney-friendly diet, and this was a person that went to college, like studied, this is what they do, and they would tell you information that would literally be harmful to somebody with kidney disease, and you would just be like, wow. These are the people that are supposed to be the authority figures for medicine? Wow, no wonder. I used to think in my head, like, if this is what people are telling people, what happens to all of the patients that don't have an advocate like my dad had with me, that knew things, that could question what the doctors would say, or even have the ability to say, no, that's not right, we're not doing that, this is what we need to do. And then sometimes, you know, I'd even teach the nutritionist, and I would show them medical journals, because you can Google everything, it's amazing. And, you know, show them the latest science. 1,200 milligrams and below, you know, is what you need for a kidney patient, not 2,000. You got to be really careful with potassium. You got to be What were some of the other things? I can't remember right now offhand, but I had it down at the time, and it was really cool just to see. And I wish that they would, in our country, we would do more of that. Like when people go to school, instead of being so focused on, don't get me wrong, we need calculus and stuff, but not everybody uses that. That could be more of a later on thing, and then we need to bring back like home economics and teach, not home ec, anyway, and teach, you know, how to cook and what nutrition is, and that, you know, you can't just get McDonald's all the time. It's not healthy. And I think a lot of people do that because they don't know how to cook nowadays. And also, you know, teach people how to do finances, investing, you know, things like that that will help them in the long run. You know, how to balance a checkbook. You know, people nowadays, younger people, they just, everything's on your phone. If you gave them a checkbook and said balance a checkbook, they'd go insane. It'd be like showing them cursive writing. They'd be like, oh my God, what is this? One thing I always laugh about because of my age is when I get older, and if I'm in an old folks home, I can write notes to my fellow patients in cursive, and the staff will probably have no idea what they say because they'll think it's a foreign language or something. Time to start cleaning the boat up here and organizing some stuff. I'll stop blabbing, and I'll come back here in a few hours and I'll give you some updates. Well, that was kind of cool. Coop ambassadors coming by us right there. Let's see if we get a shot. It's not going to focus now with the window. There we go. Kinda. And I was able to call him on the radio, and we were able to thank him for his help the other night. Right now, the guy on charge is not the guy that was the night shift, he said. He's sleeping right now, but he will definitely let him know that I said thank you very, very much. It helped me out, and I appreciate it. So that was pretty cool. We actually got to run back into him and say hi. And thank you very much that he helped me out. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to, we'll run into City of Cassville again here downriver. He wrote me back and he was saying they haven't turned around. The boat that they're meeting up to switch barges with lost a propeller because of how low the river is, so they had to get down a little farther. But hopefully, once we get down past St. Louis or so, we'll get to meet up with them again. So it's always cool to see all the barges out here on the river and interact with everybody, and it's just kind of really cool, the river life. I decided while we were sitting at anchor here, I might as well check our plugs. Yeah, them ones are done. That they are. So, I got a new set. Ugh. Right here, we're going to use the NGK iridiums, and then we also have an extra set of the Denso iridiums, but we used the NGKs last time and they worked real good. These lasted 4 years. But from the beginning of the trip to now, we definitely put a lot of miles on them, and I wasn't thinking it was going to look like that. So we'll throw in some new ones, and then we'll keep running some of that sludge remover in the engine, and hopefully that'll clean her out. Definitely time for new plugs. Alright, I thought I'd show you guys what the brand new ones are supposed to look like, and as you can see, the what would you call that? The element in the spark plug. There's a better name for it, but anyway, it has burned away. That's what it's supposed to look like. These iridium plugs, they have that little teeny nub instead of like the thicker or the wider, flatter one, and that's supposed to give you your spark at the exact same spot every time, and then that will improve the what would you call it, the ignition in the cylinder each time when it ignites. It makes it more of like centered exactly in the same spot instead of the spark being able to go left, right, up, down when you have those wider elements. So we're gonna get these switched out. We got our starter all cleaned up now yesterday. We got a new fuel filter, so things should be going good. Things should be going good. Let's see if we can get it to focus. So that one was burnt out. That was the bottom one. This is the top one. It wasn't too burnt out, but definitely fouled up. Well, not looking good. So now we got new plugs in, new plugs, new fuel filter. We should be running real good down to Alton. Nothing to worry about. Alright everybody, so I busted out some of my MREs and I thought we would try some of this instead of some canned food. So we have pork sausage with gravy. And these are pretty cool. They come with everything you need and all you have to do is add water. So I'm going to pause the video, I'll open the top, and then I'll show you what everything is inside here. Alright, so we got it open. And this is what you get. So in here is the main entree, and what they'll do is they'll give you a heater bag and you fill it with water, and then that will, you put in your main entree thing and it will heat it for you. So here's the heater bag. So we put water in here, that will get warm, and then you just slide it in and stick it into that. So here's our spoon. What else did it come with? We got a granola with milk and banana, dehydrated, beverage base powder, lemon lime. What do we got here? Pepper sauce, cranberries. What's this? This is probably bread. Wheat snack bread. Here's like your little condiment bag. They'll have like instant coffee, salt, little thing of soap most of the time. Or no, that's toilet paper. And then this is a biscuit. And then here is, this is probably the gravy. Yeah. Pork sausage and creamy gravy. So what we'll do is we come to the instructions on this bad boy. And remove MRE pouch from carton and save carton. Tear off top of bag. Place MRE pouch in bag with heater. While holding MRE pouch and heater above lines on bag, pour water into bag until it reaches a level between the lines. Slide heater and MRE to bottom of bag and fold top of bag to side opposite heater. Fold on top of MRE, heater underneath MRE. Then you put it back in the bag, in the box. With heater underneath MRE, hold carton level until heater feels warm or until 1 minute elapses. And I have a picture there. You want to kind of set it like that. I've always just put the water in this and then put it in the thing and then set it, and that seems to work the best. So you just fill it to that line and it'll start to warm up. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be back. Alright, so we got this heating up. Then I added water to our granola with milk and bananas. I'm letting that hydrate, and then we'll eat that. And then that should be heated up. And we can open this up and break off chunks of our biscuit and mix it in with the pouch, and they'll have our biscuits and gravy. I don't know if I want lemon lime drink. I'm good on that. What else did we have? This peanut butter. Oh, cheese spread with jalapenos for the bread, but I've never been a fan of that. So we'll have our granola with milk and bananas and our biscuits and gravy. So this is what it looks like. It's not bad at all. And I'll come back once the biscuits and gravy is done. Alright, here's the cranberries. It's kind of like dried raisins, but they're really good. They're really good. We're letting our entree side there, and we'll let it sit for 6 minutes, and then when it's ready, we'll bring it in here and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, we made our lemon lime drink here. It's not a hot beverage, it's cold. So put in 12 ounces of water, and then you pour in the packet. Lemon lime. It's supposed to kind of taste like Sprite, but they never do. And then we're waiting for our entree to heat up. It should be done any minute here. I'll go check it. Alright, so it's all warmed up. All you do is you pull it out of the thing. And there you go. There's your gravy and beef. And then here's our biscuit. And what I found works the best is you just grab the biscuit and you crumble it up, and then you throw it in there and you mix it all up and make it into a pouch of goodness. So this one's pretty good. The biscuit's still pretty soft. Sometimes you get them in the biscuits, they'll be like rock, and you'll be like trying to break a chunk off. So dinner is served upon the mellow. I figured I might as well bust out and try one of these. I have them for emergencies, but I figured I could splurge a little today. I have some biscuits and gravy, and yeah, pretty productive day. I changed the spark plugs. We just kind of organized a little bit. I was able to chart out the rest of our path to down to Cairo when we split off and go up to the Ohio River, and just get a bunch of other little stuff done. So I'm gonna have dinner here, and I think that'll be the end of the video for the day. Nothing too crazy, just kind of relaxing with the wind and working with the weather. So if you guys have any questions about anything we did today, leave them in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe, it helps us out. I'll see you guys later.